Good evening. So today we discuss some of the topics from Sunday's newspaper. That's on 25th June. So in this newspaper, already the continuity of some news we discussed on one day before on 19th, I think so. We discussed about the malaria elimination by India. Okay. So based on that, there is a news in this today's newspaper. I will directly go to the main editorial page. This is what we have to discuss now. Can India eliminate malaria by 2030? Some of the basic points already we have discussed in the previous lecture about malaria. So actually, the malaria infection is caused by a parasite, and at the same time, it does not spread from person to person, like Nipah virus or Ebola virus. Okay, so the malaria does not spread from person to person, but it is spreading through the bites of some infected female Anopheles mosquitoes, not normal mosquitoes. Whatever the mosquitoes are infected with this parasite, through that it is affected the human being. So there are different parasites are there comes under the Plasmodium category, and the first two Plasmodium parasites are very severe one and greatest threat to the human being, like um, falciparum and Plasmodium vivax. Okay, so these are all very deadly virus, deadly parasite causing malaria in human. And some other types are there, malaria, ovale, and knowlesi. So these are all another three different types of malaria parasites. Okay, this is what the basic we have discussed on that day. So by having this knowledge, let us continue the topic which is raising the question that can India eliminate malaria by 2030? Okay, so some of the points has been discussed very clearly. Before discussion, the summary of questions has been raised here. So what does the national framework for malaria elimination in India lay down? From 2015 to 2023, by what percentage has malaria case reduced? What is the protocol for testing, treating, and tracking? Actually, triple T model: testing, treating, and tracking. Triple T model. Okay, so what is the World Malaria Report 2005 talks about the malaria disease? So these are the questions. The answer has been given in this article. So come to this first paragraph. In 2016, there is a national framework for malaria elimination. National Framework for Malaria Elimination in India 2016 to 2030. So through that national framework, India set an ambitious target. Okay, ambitious, this word already we had come across many times in the newspaper that you know very well. Ambitious means having a strong desire to be successful. Okay, my ambitious goal, my ambitious, okay, plan. Okay, ambitious in the sense it means having a strong desire to be successful. So India has set an ambitious target to eliminate malaria, which means zero indigenous cases by 2030. So this was our goal. And but with the some entry milestones are achieved by the union territories and other state. It talks about in before 2020 it could be achieved in some union territories and some state. Okay, for example, here it is mentioned the surveillance and sustained intervention had led to 160 districts across 23 states and UTs reporting zero indigenous malaria cases from 2022 to 24. This is one of the one factual data they have given. Rather, around 23 states, in that 23 state, around 160 district does not having any malarial cases from 2022 to 2024. And come to the next paragraph, how is the prevalence of the disease measured, how it is being measured? A country is granted a certification of malaria elimination when the chain of local transmission of all human malaria parasites have been interrupted nationwide for at least 3 consecutive years, and that a fully functional surveillance and response system in place to prevent re-establishment of indigenous transmission. This is the condition for declaring a country free from a particular disease by World Health Organization. So what was the condition? The chain of transmission from person to person or some region to region. Okay, transmission all human malaria parasites have been interrupted. So அதில் ஒரு தடங்கள் வரணும். Interrupted nationwide for at least 3 consecutive years. Consecutive 3 years, there won't be any cases. That means the chain of spreading disease must be break down. Okay, if it is being done so, then the World Health Organization will declare that particular country is free from the particular disease. In India, now we are talking about the malaria. So as of mid 2025, the 47 countries or territories have been officially certified malaria free by World Health Organization. So not only India, already 47 countries are declared malaria free by World Health Organization. So in that case, where India stand? So India ஓட நிலைப்பாடு எங்க இருக்குது அப்படின்னா, the World Malaria Report 2025 notes that India makes significant progress in reducing malaria incidence and mortality in high endemic states, especially officially existing the WHO high burden to high impact group. There are some groups are there which is categorized by World Health Organization. So we have come down from high burden group to high impact groups. So in 2024, that was done. Some malaria cases reduced by around 80% from 2015 to 23 in the country. So in 2024, India accounted 73.3% of the 2.7 million estimated malaria cases in the World Health Organization Southeast Asian region. Okay, well, this at least, so how much it has been reduced means here it might be mentioned around the WHO Global Technical Strategy for Malaria 2016 to 2030 target at least 75% reduction in the incident by 2025 compared with 2015 baseline. Okay, this is the target set by the World Health Organization target global technical strategy report. So in Tamil Nadu is a good example is has been mentioned. In Tamil Nadu, see the cases, the preventive medicine and the healthcare shows because of those two, the malaria case has come down from 5,589 in 2015 to just 321 in 2025. Okay, at the same time, around 33 of 38 districts have reported zero indigenous cases, which means category prevention of re-establishment phase. The remaining 5 districts, including the capital Chennai, are classified in the category I. That the category I talks about elimination phase. Okay, so this is what the successful rate in Tamil Nadu. So how in India having working in eliminating the malaria, that is discussed in this paragraph. So the country has put into place 2 national plans. Okay, so for what purpose? To guide and accelerate malaria elimination. One is the National Framework for Malaria Elimination India 2016 to 30. This is what we have seen in the first paragraph. This was one of the steps taken by India. There's a framework. Okay, in that framework, the outline has been given, which means the vision statement or goal statement or target is set for to eliminate the malaria, and the second one is the National Strategic Plan for Malaria Elimination, that is 2023 to 2027. Okay, so that builds upon earlier framework. According to NSP, National Strategic Plan, the transforming malaria surveillance as the core intervention of malaria elimination, ensuring universal access to malaria diagnosis, treatment by enhancing and optimize case management by testing, treating, and tracking. This is what I said, no, triple T: testing, treating, and tracking, and ensuring universal access to malaria prevention by enhancing the optimizing vector control are the key strategies mentioned in the NSP program. Okay, in Tamil Nadu, measures to detect malaria are being carried out intensively in government hospitals and in primary health care centers. And larval control measurement also going parallelly. And one of the key focus areas to monitor migrant workers. This is what we observed in the last paper on term they mentioned, importation. So importation means the bringing of goods or services into a country from abroad to abroad or from other state or other region. Okay, so because of the importation, the migration took place. Okay, so these are the one of the reason highlighted for spreading malaria. And another point you directly come to this one. The World Malaria Report, what it says, the World Malaria Report stated that the significant challenges remain. So what are the challenges? The persistent Plasmodium vivax transmission. In the introduction, I said no, there are 5 different parasites are there, Plasmodium parasites. Among the 5, the Plasmodium vivax is one of the highly deadly or high threatened threatened parasite. So that is one of the main challenge because of its persistent transmission. So that is accounts for nearly 2/3 of the regional cases. Okay, this is one of the challenges. And another one challenge, the localized, here it is there, the localized transmission in India and Nepal driven by population movement and cross-border importation. Okay, this is another reason. The localized transmission, especially in India and Nepal, how it was done by the population movement and cross-border transportation. This is what the meaning set. I said, meaning said. What does it mean? The importation. Okay, which means the bringing of goods or service into the country far from outside or far from the various region. So this is another one challenges. And apart from that, the World Malaria Report 2005 highlighted the World Malaria Report highlighted the growing threat of anti-malarial drug resistance. So this is the third reason. Okay, so first reason talks about the persistence transmission of Plasmodium vivax parasite. Second one talks about the importation and the localized transmission because of the population. Okay, and third reason due to anti-malarial drug resistance. These are another challenges there. So for that, especially some of in Africa and the anti-malarial drug resistance due to the failure of chloroquine and sulfadoxine pyrimethamine. These are the medicine. These does not work out in many patients' case. Okay, so that means not responding. Because of that one, there is a threat could not able to control or prevent or taken care of the particular person, affected person. Okay, so these are the major points has been discussed as the challenges ahead. So what's the road ahead for this one? Is simply come to the last paragraph. So here it has mentioned the urban areas or larger metropolitan cities such as Chennai face challenges due to rapid urbanization, growing infrastructure, and large number of apartment complexes where water storage condition need to be looked at. Here, the government alone cannot play a role, but needs measure at the individual household level, and the source is a clean water. So, contaminated water, stagnant water must be cleared time to time. So, these are the preventive measure has to be taken by the government and by the people who are living in the metropolitan city. So these are the points we have to keep it in mind. So exam point of view, the exam point of view, the almost the major challenges to any disease we can bring into these three broader category. One is the drug resistance. Another one is the population, and the moment the law and importation, population importation, this one. So another one, the cross border import, that's what the importation. And another one, the severity of the particular parasite or virus or bacteria. Okay, so this is the three common area we can analyze if any disease is dominated the human being in particular region. And then how the national framework for eliminating particular disease, it should be focusing on the triple T method, which is somewhat successful in this case. That is testing, treating, and tracking. This is what we have already done during the COVID time also. We test the patients, we gave the treatment to the patients, and finally we track them also where they moving. So how the other persons may be affected because of this particular person. So these are the way these are the effective methods to be done to prevent such kind of disease. And if it is being done, so the major disease can be eliminated from the nation. This is one. And in another one, the prelim point of view, they can ask if any country to be declared free in any disease by World Health Organization mean. So what are the main condition? This is what here I said. The chain of transmission must be interrupted nationwide at least 3 consecutive years. This is another one. The condition to be declared of a free nation by WHO. Okay, so these are the various points in terms of prelim and mains. So now come to the international issue. And recent days, there are so many cases or news around the table of Trump. Okay, he has taken so many decisions on the decision through the tariff as one of the measurement, and through that he is making other countries to surrender to his order. In a, we can say in a line, India is one country, our country also, and Ukraine, Russia, then Peninsula. Okay, now he has focused on Greenland. Okay, so after his second term, so he took tariff as the major trade weapon. Okay, weapon to dominate other countries. Okay, so this one already we have discussed in time by time. Already we have discussed this one about the Gaza. Then when India Pakistan war was about to start, he said around more than 50 or 100 times that I stopped the war by using the trade concept or tariff concept. Then he again gave warning to India not to buy oil from Russia, then sanction on Iran, and the condition done, the situation created by the US in Peninsula. So, and he imposed tariff to many countries. He raised the tariff more than 20%, 50%, or more than 100% to the major developing countries like China. Okay, so Trump had taken a tariff as one of the weapon to uh, make US is the most powerful, and among that line, now he has focused over Greenland. So before enter into this article, let us have some points about the Greenland, and I think so. Some fact you can note it down, and prelim point of view it is somewhat important. And Greenland is the world largest island. Okay, it's a world largest island. Then it is located in the Arctic Circle. No, you can see in the map, Arctic Circle. Around, if you look at the size of the Greenland, means six times the size of the Germany. Of Germany. But if you look at the population, it's around only 55,000. If you look at the population, it's about only 55,000. And even though it is 6 times larger than the Germany, around 80% of the area are ice, covered by ice. Okay, so why now Trump is looking more on Greenland, means because of some strategic location the Greenland is having, because of the higher deposit of rare earth minerals, okay, especially uranium, iron, and oils and natural gas, and the titanium, graphite. So these are all in abundance in the Greenland. Okay, and but if you look at the history, the connection between US and Greenland, it starts from World War II. The World War II, US, it returned the Greenland to the Denmark. Okay, and now it is now the trap, it is threatened or instructing the Denmark, you no, gave back the territory which we gave it to you already after the World War II. Okay, but what Greenland says, it does not have its but no, it does not ready to give or ready to interfere over its sovereignty. So these are the basic idea behind that Greenland. Now we will look into the article what it has been discussed here. So it starts from the questions which was put, which was started from the beginning. Why does the US wants Greenland? Now Trump cites over the Greenland. What has been the US president recent rhetoric on the Arctic territory? Is there the counter sort of some tariff on the security aspect? Is it not Greenland protected by NATO? So, what is Greenland rich in beside reserves of oil and natural gas? So, these all questions have the answer under this article. Okay, let us see one by one. So, in the first paragraph, you can see this is what in the beginning I said it is the in the Arctic territory of the Greenland. When he was in the office, the first presidency, he was thinking or idea of taking the Greenland under his control. Later, he cancelled a visit to Denmark. Okay, this is during the first term. Then in the mid 2026, it's a White House proposed a plan. Okay, yeah, what was the plan? To slap 8 European countries with a 10% tariff on any and all goods beginning on the February 1, which was then to set increased by to 28% on June 1 until an agreement was reached on Greenland. அதாவது கிரீன்லாண்ட் அக்ரிமெண்ட் வர்ற வரைக்கும் எந்தெந்த கண்ட்ரிலாம் அதுக்கு அக்ரிமெண்ட் உடன்படலையோ ஃபார் தோஸ் கண்ட்ரிஸ் the US is increasing tariff level from 10% to 28%. Okay, this one. And the framework of the what he was telling, the annexing Greenland or more concerning more on Greenland is for the framework of a future deal with respect to Greenland and in fact the entire Arctic region. Okay, and you come to this one. Come to this paragraph. Why does Greenland matter to the US? This is another one question. So what exactly it wants from the Greenland? For that, the answer will be here. So Greenland is primarily coveted by the Trump administration for two broad reasons. One is its rich natural resources. Okay, this one, the beginning I said. So highest natural resources, resource base and strategic location. The strategic location aspects are not this claimed by the Trump administration, the access to resource less compared to resource. This one. And the Trump, he said to have Greenland for what purpose? For security and not for anything else. This is another one. And and it was mentioned clear, if you go below or go down to 25 feet through ice, we will get it something more precious rare earth material. Okay, so these are the reason. Another one is the Russia and the Chinese influence is another one reason. One is rich natural resource. Second one is the Russia and China influence in that region that is expanding, and it is not substantial. And at the same time, the Greenland is also protected by the security umbrella, the NATO. This is, keep it in your mind. Similarly, there is a regional reassurance for the US and its allies in the fact that under the US-Denmark Pact of 1951, there is a pact signed between both the countries. Okay, and what it says, the security threat to the Arctic territory could legally trigger the US option to broaden its military presence in the Greenland. Okay, and based on that agreement, the report has noted the Washington has stationed around 10,000 troops on the island during the Cold War period. Now it reduced into just 200 troops of US currently present there. Okay, and come to this paragraph, the last. I said some of the rare materials are there, rare earth material, including the graphite and titanium. These are all there. And because of this reason, the US and other lawmakers said that Trump administration's apparent adventurism in forcing Denmark hands-on surrendering Greenland to Washington is based on protecting US national security interest in areas such as shipping lane, energy, fisheries, Okay, but the true motivation for this quest likely has far more to do striking bargain for the extraction of natural resources than, okay, the true reason is this one. Okay, in this paragraph talks about the mentality of US. Okay, Trump administration forcing the Denmark hand over the Greenland. Okay, to protect the protecting US, the national security of security interest in the area, especially the shipping lane, then fishing. These are the another reason. So what about the latest agreement talks about the Greenland means the so-called framework of the future deal with respect to Greenland. This is the latest agreement has been prepared under the Trump second term. Okay, based on that, a potential based on that, come here. The Trump climbed down from an aggressive posture on U.S. control of Greenland was quite likely precipitated by the prospect of the potential judicial ruling against the White House use of the International Emergency Economic Power Act. There is an act is there. This act slap allies and partners nation with broad-based tariff, because this is what he is doing with other countries by imposing more tariff. Okay, especially European nation signaled that in the event of such aggression, they would seriously consider bringing into force a hard-hitting counter-tariff mechanism that will highly negatively impact the trade in goods and services of large US tech firm conducting business in the European Union. Okay, and yet the deeper concern for other countries is the fact that there is a lingering possibility of territory Hungary, Washington interfering in the politics of not only Denmark and Peninsula, but other countries. Not only Denmark, Peninsula, other countries also following the similar tactics to control other countries under the direction of the US. So the rule-based international order may not be what it was the end of the first decade of 21st century. So the term you noted down is a rule-based international order. It's a correct word, I think so. Okay, the rule set by the US, and that rule become international order. So because of the tariff relations between the two countries, they have to accept the order anyhow. This is what going on. Okay, and this is what done with India, China, and others. Okay, and these nations now need to find a way. So now the conclusion, what they are telling, okay, let US go on its own international, on its own rule-based order. But what other countries have to do? Push back on the neo-imperialistic depredation of Washington, Moscow, in terms of the brazen disregard territorial sovereignty. Okay, so depredation means an act of attacking or blunting. This is what US doing. Okay, that's all one. This word also you can note it down. Neo-imperialistic depredations of Washington. US or a nature. In a nature, an act of attacking or blunting through a rule-based international order. Okay, and the other countries must be give more importance on their sovereignty, human rights. Okay, so and in the pursuit of commercial and strategic interest, this is the idea has been given to other countries. So these are the overall points has been discussed about the Greenland. So now in upcoming newspapers, it will come to very clear that how the Greenland and the Denmark's acts based on the in the US ruled based international order, how it is going to react, and how the European Union countries also going to support. Okay, this we will see in the upcoming newspaper issues. Then come to the third point, third news. It's about the RBI nudging India to do at BRICS. Okay, so why this news means this time India is hosting the summit. Okay, so for that, so through this opportunity, India has to create or taken care of something which is more relevant to increasing India's economy during this Trump period due to his severe tariff measurement over the other countries. So what are the alternative measurement we can do to tackle such kind of a hard measurement taken by the US? So this is what the BRIC countries has to be taken. So in that direction, the news is here. So come to this one. The RBI is giving suggestion. Enna suggestion to whom? To the Indian government, encouraging it to push other BRIC countries. This is what important. RBI is giving one suggestion. In that suggestion given to the government, what it says, use the opportunity of the BRIC summit. You tell to other BRIC countries to work together in which area? Creating a digital currencies. Okay, creating a digital currencies. For what purpose? For cross-border payment or transaction. And if we had a digital currencies, a common digital currencies, then there are so many advantages. Okay, at the same time, there is a risk in that common digital currency also. That also to be considered. And one more thing, one more thing must be in the BRICS nations' mind, that already the US government, that means the Trump, has given warning about the creation of new currencies against the US dollar. Again, he had a threaten that if you are going for the alternative currency against US dollar, then there will be a huge rise in the tariff over the product imported from the BRICS nation. This is already he had given a statement. Okay, and so, but what is the present status about this suggestion? This is what mentioned in this paragraph. Okay, even though the proposal given by the RBI, it is not officially announced. Okay, it is not officially announced, but at the same time, so the Ministry of Finance, to take the advantage of India's chairmanship of the BRICS in 2026, because we are going to chair the 2026 BRICS summit. Okay, so it encouraged the BRIC nation to use their central bank digital currencies to facilitate cross-border payment. Okay, if this were to take off, it would be the payment system spanning not just 5 founding members, the Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. Okay, and recently it would be the common currencies to the recently joined countries like Egypt, Ethiopia, Iran, UAE, and Indonesia. So, prelim point of view, you keep these countries in your mind. So, what are the BRICS members, and recently what are the countries are joined? Okay, and several more countries also waiting in the wings to join the group. Okay, so how we are expanding the BRICS groups from a 5 nation into a large group of countries or nations. This is another point of discussion to another point of direction to discuss. And what are the central bank digital currencies that are there? So the central bank digital currencies are legal tender issued by a central bank entirely in digital form. This is a definition for what is CBDC. It's a central digital central bank digital currency. So in India, for example, the RBI has been issuing e-rupee on a limited scale. This is already in trial. This currency is the same as the nominal rupee, but entirely digital, and is stored of a value of all its own. That is, the central bank digital currency is held in a wallet that is separate from your bank account. So like what we are having already, the unified payment interface, UPI facilities are there to transfer the rupees from one bank to another account. Oh, so central bank digital currency move from a wallet to another with each transaction record on the blockchain in essence digital with the concept of a digital ledger. So central bank digital currency, how it is differ from private cryptocurrencies. Okay, already digital currencies are there in the international market. Okay, so how this currency is different from the other cryptocurrencies. So the point has been discussed here. So in the private cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin are decentralized by design with no central issuer and no regulator. This one already we know very well. That is why government has given warning not to invest on the Bitcoin like and other cryptocurrencies, because the nature of the cryptocurrencies are by it's a decentralized design, not a centralized design. Decentralized design means anyone can involve or interfere in the design, and there is no particular central issuer. Okay, it may be anyone, and there is no regulatory mechanism also. So, which means it is the biggest threat for the investor in such kind of cryptocurrency. This is what about the private cryptocurrencies. But at the same time, what is CBDC means? The central banks and digital currencies have very definite issuer and regulator. It must know who is the designer, who is the issuer, who is the regulator. Everything will be there. The issuer and the regulator both are done by the central bank, and also while most of the cryptocurrencies are not back to any real world asset from which they can be derived the value. This is another one point related to the private cryptocurrencies. But the central bank digital currencies are backed by the central bank and have the asset value. The normal cryptocurrency does not have the asset value. Okay, but this one having the asset value. So this is the difference between the private cryptocurrencies and the central bank digital currencies, which is proposed by the RBI to the BRICS nations. This one. So now, how it is going to be benefited? This is another area it has been discussed here. So being entirely digital and linked to the blockchain makes central bank digital currency extremely transparent. This is one point. And a blockchain ledger visible to all parties. That is why it is highly transparent. And once the transaction is recorded, it's a permanent. Okay, this is another one reason it cannot be deleted or modified. Okay, then third one, the cross-border transaction or major route for the black and laundered money that will be stopped or completely erased. Okay, through this central bank digital currencies. How it means the transparency and immutability of central bank digital currency thus could be a huge advantage in tracking these transactions and cracking down on them. Okay, tracking the transaction, cracking the illegal transaction through this CBDC. This is the nature. And another one nature of this currency allow them to be programmed in a particular way. For example, they can be programmed to be usable only for certain transaction, not for all. Okay, and the program that has some expiry date, geolocation, merchant registration code. Okay, so which can be programmed in the imagination of things doing like related to coding. Okay, and the blockchain can also be programmed to record details such as the name and other identifier of the payer and payee, adding further transparency. So overall, the advantage of the central bank digital currency is mainly a transparent transaction. One. Second one, that illegal transaction can crack down. Second. Third one, it's a program. It's a program through the coding with respect to the usable transaction, usable transaction for particular purpose. This is what the nature of the central bank digital currencies. Okay, so at larger geopolitical level, if this currency can help India to deal with some of the striker international payment relation issue, especially again, Trump come into picture. The trade with Iran, Russia has become significantly harder because both the countries have been excluded from the US dollar-based SWIFT international payment system, and US also keep on insisting on keep on providing pressure on India not reduce the transaction trade relationship with the Russia and the Iran. Okay, so if we the BRIC countries have the our own digital currencies, then it is better to have the good trade relationship among the BRIC nation. Need not to worry about the US domination dollar transaction. Okay, this is what the idea. So now, what was the risk? There is no such kind of technical or internal risk. Some geopolitical risk is there, that is only comes from the US. So US already gave the warning. Already I said that when the idea was given by the BRICS countries, it was giving the US was giving warning to the nations that the tariff will be increased in multiple times. Okay, this is what the first issue is, the working out the legal and regulatory issue between the multiple countries and could take long time, and so benefit of such structure. So this is a technical thing which could be negotiated, which could be agreed between the countries. This is not that much particular strong risk. Okay, this risk is talks about the legal and regulatory issue of between the multiple countries, whoever we are going to have the transaction through the central bank digital currencies. Second is the somewhat important one, the immediate. So how the US going to react? US president has already in the past threatened additional tariff on BRICS countries if they go ahead with the developing alternative to the US dollar. And you move to the post, and then another increasing the tariff level of 50%. Already it was raised. So this is one. So whatever the international related issues are there, then it cannot be treated, or it cannot be solved by a particular group of countries, and cannot be solved by a particular country, but it could be solved by a group of nations. This is what I keep on insist. US is nothing. You let them do the rule-based international order to surrender everyone through the trade relationship. Let them do, but at the same time, other countries, if all come together and having a common goal of development, okay, then it is very difficult for US to implement its rule-based international order. Okay, so this is what, and we'll move to some another news. And this is nothing. The large genetic study finds overlap schizophrenia is the one of the disease, is a disease on the brain. Okay, the prelim point of view, some of the point is important. How the schizophrenia is linked with the osteoporosis, and how the DNA having those who are having the impact of DNA, then they will get, their generation also will get such kind of disease. Okay, this is what the discussion is here, but no need to go in depth. Actually, it was it came through a research done by the Chinese expert. Okay, and through that, here is the long some how it is going to, the long-term use of antipsychotic drug can affect the body's metabolism and hormone balance. So people, those who are having schizophrenia, are also more like to be physically inactive. எதனால வரும் அப்படின்னா, those who are physically inactive, those who are in smoke, and those who are having vitamin D deficiency. Okay, these will increase the fracture risk. Okay, and then, and how genetically it has been linked with, means the after having the analysis of the DNA from these particular patients, no, it is keep on moves to the next generation also. That is what in the last paragraph they have mentioned, is often diagnosed in early adulthood, a stage of life, and bone fragility is rarely a clinical concern. Okay. And okay, any disease, if you found at the beginning, it could be treated well. That's one. And some other international issues there, again the boss came. Hmm. This one talks about recently he had declared one plan, peace plan. Okay, the board of peace, and we can highly criticized the one who destroy peace is creating a board of peace. And we cannot write like this on the new exams, but this is what the reality. Okay, he proposed a reconstruction of war devastated Gaza, done by them only, one of the most consequential bodies ever created, but the majority of the countries invited have stayed away from the signing ceremony in Davos. Okay, let us see what the news is about. Um, in the city of Davos in Switzerland on January 22nd. Okay, on the sideline of the World Economic Forum, a new intergovernment organization established. Okay, a new intergovernment organization established. What was that new intergovernmental organization? That is the Board of the Peace. Who was the head? The he himself was the head of the Board of the Peace, and and in that the 20-point peace plan to reconstruct Gaza also declared. And this phase envisaged the demilitarization, technocratic governance, and reconstruction of the Gaza Strip. Okay, and the duty of the board is to oversee the National Committee for the Administration of Gaza, and uh, then then uh, the draft of the board's chapter, it will be talks with the promoting peace around the world and working to resolve conflict. Actually, if you read this article now, you have to think it in different direction. After World War One and World War Two, in the World War One, they created an international organization, that is League of Nations. League of Nations. The failure of League of Nations, World War Two came. And to stop such kind of world war again, like three, okay, they created United Nations. And where United Nations Security Council, okay, United Nations General Assembly, okay, and it has so many members all over the world. Now, to so without strengthening the United Nations body, if you are going for the alternate organization to create, to promote the peace over the world, okay, that would be the greatest question. So what is the need of a new body? So what was the drawback observed in the United Nations, which was created after World War to promote the peace, to stop such kind of war, World War like three? Okay, see, in that direction you have to discuss. Okay, anyhow, and in the positive side, even positive, even though the United Nations and its organization have less impact over the uh, over over the war which was created worldwide. Okay, there is another body also created, that is the Board of Peace, which with the hope of there won't be any conflict between the countries. So with the hope of there won't be any massacre, with the hope of there won't be any innocent killings in the name of war. So this is in the discussion in the positive direction. So in one side we have to discuss what was the reason of the failure. We can't say failure. So what was the ineffective of United Nations could not able to stop such kind of war between Ukraine and Russia and Venezuela, and in international internal conflicts and and uh, uh, like Iran, okay, and the turmoil in the Middle East. So because of the absence of or only the observation character of the UN, there is another body is needed, that is the Board of Peace. So that is why the US has created. So this different kind of direction we have to think. So now let us look into what exactly the Board of Peace. So it has around so it has some charter, 11-page long, comprising 8 chapters are there, with the 13 articles are there. Okay, but the entire entire chapters and article, it does not mention about Gaza. Okay, and at the same time, the inaugural chairman, who is the inaugural chairman of the board, is the Trump itself, the inaugural chairman, and other executive board members are there. You just check. British Prime Minister, and Middle East, the Trump son-in-law, and Apollo CEO, World Bank president. Okay, and the White House stated that each member will oversee a defined portfolio critical to Gaza's stabilization and long-term success, which means the entire board is more to focus more on the reconstruct the Gaza. Okay, and Gaza and governance, capacity building and regional relation, reconstruction, investment attraction, large scale funding. These are the duty. At least 50 countries and private entities have been invited to join the board, and it has given invitation to India also, like France and Sweden, Norway and Slovenia has declined the invitation to join on the board. India was invited but yet to make the decision. China and Russia have been invited as well. Okay, and Russian president, he asked the Russia's membership cost be drawn from the fund frozen by the former president of Joe Biden. Actually, the fund means around $9,000 billion something set by the US if you want to be the member. So Russia said already you have a frozen huge amount or huge fund of Russia. Okay, during the Joe Biden was a president, you use that president. Why he frozen the fund? Because of the war started on Ukraine by the Russia. Okay, this is what. And other countries like Saudi Arabia, Bahrain, Jordan, Qatar, Egypt, these are also having invited. Okay, these are other major countries. So what exactly the charter makes? At the same time, you come to this paragraph. The charter makes no reference to the path to Palestinian state, and no mention of this was made during the signing ceremony. Okay, this is how it is going to make the world peace. And from the other countries' point of view, you come to this paragraph. Several nations have expressed concern that the board will overshadow the UN. This is what in the beginning I said. Already UN is there. Okay, and Mr. Trump has criticized the UN. Okay, and signed a memo directing the withdrawal of the US from around 66 international organizations, including 31 UN bodies. This is a seriously, it has to be comes into the discussion by other nations. Okay, you withdrawn yourself from the most valuable UN or world organizations, but you create your own and you are inviting everyone to join. Okay, this is another serious issue to discuss. And and another one point is highlighted here. Once this board is completely formed, we can do pretty much whatever we want to do, and we'll do it in conjunction with the United Nations, like that. And it does not talks about the Israel and Hamas war. Okay, it was then already it was entered, and that is why they are going to use one of the group of board members to reconstruct the Gaza Strip again. Okay, and by declaring that, calling Gaza a beautiful piece of property. Okay, you destroy the beauty of property of Gaza, and now you declare we are going to make the Gaza is more beautiful. So these are all some of the extreme criticism we can put, but in exam point of view, somewhat in the indirectly we have to highlight the one side nature of the US. Okay, I think this is sufficient. Some of the international major issues we have discussed. So in the next class, we will having some more news related to this Greenland and all. Okay, that we will discuss tomorrow.